What if the cure for chronic illness wasn't found in a pill, an injection, or even in a doctor's office, but in something as radical as not eating at all? This is the extraordinary story of a physician who dared to experiment on himself, stepping outside the conventional medical practices of his time. When faced with health problems that modern treatments couldn't solve, he turned to an ancient and controversial method, fasting. But this wasn't simply an act of desperation. As a trained doctor, he approached fasting with the eyes of a scientist, observing, recording, and analyzing every stage of his journey. What he discovered not only transformed his own life, but also challenged the medical community and sparked a new wave of research into the healing power of the human body. In this article, we'll explore who this doctor was, what led him to such an extreme decision, the science behind fasting, and how his personal experiment left a lasting impact on medicine. The man at the center of this story was not just any patient. He was a medical professional who understood the risks he was about to take. His name was Dr. Henry Tanner, a 19th-century physician practicing in the United States. By the mid-1800s, Dr. Tanner had become well known in certain medical circles, but his personal health was rapidly declining. He suffered from chronic illness, particularly rheumatism and digestive problems, conditions that left him in constant pain and fatigue. At that time, medicine had very little to offer. Treatments were often limited to harsh tonics, questionable procedures, and opiates that dulled symptoms but offered no real cure. For Tanner, life had become a daily struggle. Conventional medicine wasn't working, and he reached a point of despair. That's when he decided to take a path few physicians or patients would dare to try. He resolved to heal himself through fasting. What made his case so remarkable was not only his decision to abstain from food, but also the systematic way he documented his experience. Tanner wasn't driven only by desperation. He was driven by scientific curiosity. He wanted to test the human body's hidden potential for healing when stripped of constant food intake. His journey would soon shock his colleagues, capture the public's imagination, and ignite fierce debates within the medical community. Dr. Tanner's first steps into fasting were not easy. Imagine, in the 19th century, deliberately refusing food was considered not just strange, but dangerous, even suicidal. Yet Tanner was determined. He began with short periods of fasting, carefully observing his body's reactions. To his surprise, instead of becoming weaker, he noticed subtle improvements. His pain lessened, his energy seemed steadier, and his mind grew clearer. These early results convinced him to go further. In 1877, Tanner made a bold public declaration. He would fast for 40 full days, consuming nothing but water. His decision shocked the medical establishment. Many of his colleagues predicted that he would die long before reaching the halfway mark. Newspapers of the time reported on his dangerous stunt, fueling both skepticism and morbid curiosity. Under strict observation, with witnesses ensuring he wasn't secretly eating, Tanner embarked on his fast. The first days were the hardest, with hunger pangs and weakness pressing on him. But as the days passed, something remarkable happened. His chronic pain diminished, his joints felt freer, and his energy, though different from before, became strangely sustainable. By the end of his 40-day fast, not only had he survived, but he also reported feeling healthier than he had in years. His rheumatism had eased, his digestive issues calmed, and his overall vitality returned. For Tanner, fasting was no longer a desperate gamble, it had become a powerful therapeutic discovery. This dramatic personal experiment would turn him into both a medical curiosity and a pioneer. When Dr. Tanner undertook his famous fast, the science of the human body was still in its infancy. Doctors knew little about metabolism, cellular repair, or the deeper processes of disease. Many simply assumed that prolonged fasting would starve the body to death. But Tanner's survival and his improvement hinted at something profound. Today, modern science provides explanations for what he experienced. One of the key mechanisms is autophagy, a process where the body begins to clean house when deprived of food. In simple terms, cells start breaking down old, damaged components and recycling them for energy. This not only conserves resources, but also rejuvenates the body at a microscopic level. Fasting also reduces inflammation, the silent trigger behind many chronic illnesses. By giving the digestive system a rest and lowering the constant influx of nutrients, the body shifts its focus toward repair. Blood pressure can normalize, insulin sensitivity improves, and the immune system recalibrates. Of course, Tanner couldn't have known these terms, but he observed the effects firsthand. His pain eased, his digestion stabilized, and his overall strength seemed renewed. What once looked like a reckless stunt began to resemble a carefully designed biological experiment. Even more fascinating, Tanner's results opened a door for researchers to question long-held medical dogmas. Could the absence of food sometimes be more healing than medicine itself? Dr. Tanner's 40-day fast did not fade quietly into obscurity. It became a sensation. Newspapers followed his progress with daily updates, and crowds gathered to witness this medical miracle. Some saw him as a visionary, while others dismissed him as reckless or even insane. For the medical community, his survival was deeply unsettling. Many doctors had confidently predicted his death within 2 weeks. Yet Tanner emerged not only alive, but healthier than before. This forced the profession to reconsider long-standing assumptions about nutrition, disease, and the limits of the human body. Some physicians began cautiously experimenting with therapeutic fasting in their own practices, particularly for conditions like arthritis, obesity, and digestive disorders. Others vehemently opposed the idea, arguing that fasting was dangerous quackery. The debates grew heated. Was Tanner a pioneer who had uncovered a natural healing mechanism, or was he simply lucky, a man who had survived a reckless stunt? Regardless of where one stood, his fast sparked discussions that reshaped medical thought. In many ways, Dr. Tanner helped shift the idea of fasting from superstition or religious ritual into the realm of science and medicine. Though his methods were controversial, his results could not be ignored. More than a century after Dr. Tanner's famous experiment, fasting is no longer viewed as an eccentric gamble. Instead, it has become a subject of serious scientific research and a popular health practice around the world. Modern medicine now recognizes that controlled fasting can offer significant benefits when done safely. Intermittent fasting, for example, where people restrict eating to certain hours of the day, has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, support weight management, and even enhance mental clarity. Longer supervised fasts have also been studied for their effects on blood pressure, autoimmune conditions, and cellular repair. What Tanner experienced in the 19th century now has names and explanations. Autophagy, the body's natural recycling system. Reduced inflammation, easing symptoms of chronic illness. Metabolic reset, helping the body regulate sugar and fat more efficiently. Of course, fasting is not a universal cure. Doctors warn that it can be dangerous for certain individuals, especially those with underlying conditions, nutritional deficiencies, or without proper supervision. The key difference today is that we understand both the potential and the limits of fasting in a way Tanner never could. Still, his story remains a powerful reminder. Sometimes the most radical solutions come not from adding more medicine, but from taking things away. Dr. Henry Tanner's journey was more than just a personal battle against illness. It was a bold challenge to the medical thinking of his time. By refusing food for 40 days, he did what most doctors thought impossible. He healed himself when medicine had failed him. His fast became a turning point in the history of therapeutic fasting. Though ridiculed by some and celebrated by others, Tanner's experiment forced the medical world to ask new questions about the body's hidden powers of self-repair. Today, science has confirmed much of what Tanner sensed intuitively. We know that fasting can trigger profound biological changes, cleaning out damaged cells, reducing inflammation, and restoring balance to systems under stress. And yet, his story also serves as a cautionary tale. Fasting must be approached with knowledge, care, and respect for the body's limits. The legacy of Dr. Tanner is not just about fasting. It's about the courage to challenge convention, to experiment when others say it's impossible, and to trust in the body's remarkable ability to heal itself. Perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: sometimes the path to health is not found in what we consume, but in what we are willing to let go of.